Two Victorian women step into the same street, same year, same weather, same city. But their dresses are telling two completely different stories. Because in the Victorian era, a dress wasn't just fashion. It was your income, your respectability, your safety, and sometimes your fate. And here's the challenge. If I show you only the hem of a Victorian dress, you can probably guess whether it belonged to a wealthy woman or a working woman. Victorian clothing sits right at the crossroads of two big forces: the Industrial Revolution, mass production, cheaper textiles, ready-made clothing, and a strict social code where appearance wasn't vain. It was proof. Proof you were respectable. Proof you belonged. Proof you had the time, the space, and the money to look proper. So today we're doing a simple but revealing comparison: the rich dress versus the poor dress, and what each one quietly confessed about a woman's daily life. Let's start with the wealthy woman's dress, the one designed not for labor but for display. First, fabric: silk, satin, taffeta, velvet, fine lace, materials that catch the light in a way cotton simply doesn't. Even if you don't know the names, your eyes know the difference: that crisp rustle, that sheen, that expensive drape. Second, structure. A rich dress wasn't just cloth, it was engineering. Underskirts, petticoats, sometimes hoops, shaping the body into the fashionable silhouette of the decade. And that structure mattered because it created a message. I do not need to move quickly. I do not need to carry. I do not need to scrub. Third, finish and detail. Look for tiny signs: covered buttons, neat pleating, symmetrical trims, lining inside the bodice, tidy seams. And here's a detail people forget. Wealth shows up where you don't always look: on the inside. A well-finished lining, careful stitching, extra fabric used for comfort and durability. A rich dress often moves like it's performing. Even when she sits, it settles. It doesn't collapse. Now let's talk about the working woman's dress. And I want to say this clearly: the poor dress isn't about bad taste. It's about mathematics, time, soap, weather, work. First, fabric: sturdy cotton, wool, linen blends, practical cloth that can be washed, patched, reheated, and worn again tomorrow. Second, shape: less excess volume, fewer layers you have to maintain. A skirt that lets you walk fast, climb stairs, bend, lift, carry. Third, and this is the most honest part, the dress carries a record of her life. You'll see reinforcement at the elbows, mending at the seams, a hem shortened because dragging fabric through mud costs money, fading from sun, wear from repeated washing, and sometimes stubborn stains that aren't a moral failure, just a lack of time. Because for a working woman, one dress often had to do the work of 5. Work dress, walking dress, visiting dress, church dress, and winter dress, all in one. Here's the secret. The most expensive thing in the Victorian era wasn't always silk. It was maintenance. To keep light colors clean, lace intact, hems unfrayed, cuffs crisp, you needed time, space, and help. You needed someone else doing the washing, the ironing, the repairs. And that's why cleanliness became a status symbol, not because wealthy women were more virtuous, but because they could afford the systems that kept clothing pristine. And if you want to spot class differences fast, here are 7 clues. The hem, clean and intact or worn and repaired. Cuffs and collar, the first places to show dirt and wear. Fastenings, covered buttons and fine hooks versus simpler closures. Fit of the bodice, tailored shaping often costs more. Layering more layers usually means more laundering and more help. Lining, wealth often hides inside. Trim quality, real lace and careful pleats, or simpler functional finishing. If you caught yourself staring at hems just now, congratulations, you're officially one of us. Now, life wasn't only rich or poor. There was a whole world in the middle, women who were respectable, careful, and strategic. Middle-class wardrobes were often built on clever choices: a solid fabric, a flattering cut, a bit of trim in the right place, and alterations, endless alterations. A dress might be updated from one decade to the next, a bodice reshaped, sleeves changed, trim moved. And hand-me-downs could travel through households like treasure, not because they were glamorous, but because cloth was value. So sometimes a woman didn't look poor. She looked resourceful. Let me show you the difference in a single morning. A wealthy woman begins with choice, a dress for morning calls, another for afternoon, another for evening. Someone helps with fastenings, someone fixes a stray stitch, and the dress is designed for appearance while the world slows down around it. A working woman begins with function. She dresses quickly, practical layers, a sturdy skirt, sleeves that can be pushed up, a shawl if it's cold, an apron if there's work, because there is always work. Both women are dressing to survive. One is surviving society, the other is surviving the day. So when you see a Victorian dress, you're not only seeing pretty, you're seeing labor, economics, expectations, and the hidden cost of being presentable. The rich dress whispers, I have time, I have help, I have options. The poor dress says, I will endure, I will mend, I will make this last. And sometimes the loudest difference is the quietest detail, the hem that tells you where she's been. And here's the part I love, because it turns this from history into a real little mystery. If you ever visit a museum or see a preserved Victorian gown behind glass, don't let the spotlight fool you. Museums often display the best, special occasion pieces, gowns that were protected, stored and cared for. But most Victorian dresses lived hard lives, and the clues of class aren't always on the front where everyone looks. So do this, start low then go up. Hem, cuffs, collar, then pause at the waistline, because that's where movement, dirt and stress collect, where fabric is pulled, where seams strain, where hands reach, where life happens. And remember, women were incredibly clever. A middle-class woman might look fine because she knew exactly where to spend. Sturdy fabric, a good cut, a bit of trim placed like a trick of the eye. A working woman might look tidy because she repaired the same dress 100 times with pride, not shame. And a wealthy woman might look effortless because effort was happening, just not by her hands. That's why this is so fascinating. The dress is never just a dress, it's a system, it's time, it's help, it's endurance. And once you learn to read it, you're not just seeing clothing anymore, you're seeing a woman's whole day stitched into fabric. Now I want to hear from you. Which detail surprised you most? Fabric, structure, or maintenance? And if you want a follow-up where I break down real Victorian outfits, and you guess the social class like a little fashion mystery game, comment the word hem. If I see a lot of hem, I'll make the next one.
It is fascinating to think that, back then, fashion was far from being just vanity or fluff. It was a survival system and public proof of who you were in the world. What strikes me most about this research is realizing that true luxury wasn't just the expensive fabric, like silk or satin, it was maintenance. Keeping clothes pristine meant you had the most scarce resource of all, other people's time working for you. While a wealthy woman displayed a dress that performed and didn't collapse when she sat down, another carried on her own body the mathematical record of her effort. Every mend on the elbow and every stain was a sign of a life that simply could not stop. Today, we live in an era of disposability, but in the Victorian period, cloth was value, heritage, and identity. Looking at a worn-out hem isn't seeing a failure. It's seeing the resilience of a woman who needed that single garment to be her work uniform, her Sunday best, and her protection against the cold, all at once. Now, I want to hear from you. Which of these details surprised you the most? The idea that the structure of the dress served to say, I do not need to move quickly? Or the fact that cleanliness was the greatest status symbol, much more than the shine of the silk? Comment below. And if you are curious to see how we identify this in practice, don't forget, comment the word HEM. If I see a lot of interest, I'll prepare a fashion mystery game where we analyze photos of real museum dresses to guess which class they belong to. Thanks for watching, and next time you see a period gown, remember, look at the hem first.